and Tom Marsh as they use metal detectors to recover gold nuggets. We continue our search for gold as Tom travels to the Consolidated Gold Mines in Georgia. In 1849, they called it gold fever, and it still is. That beautiful luster, that incredible feel. Well, there's no mistaking real gold, and people are still finding it for fun and profit. The town is called Dahlonega, a Cherokee name that means precious yellow or gold. It was the site of this country's first real gold rush. From 1828 to 1837, almost $2 million in gold found its way from Dahlonega to Philadelphia to mint coins. The take was so impressive that in 1835, a United States branch of the mint was set up in the town to accommodate the mining success. Today, the Courthouse Gold Museum is the official chronicler of the town's rich history. Its purpose is to preserve records from the gold rush era in Georgia and to assure the conservation of the gold story for the future. Above all, the museum reveres those who lived the dream of striking the mother lode, for this was as much a part of American history as any era before or after. But a trip to Dahlonega wouldn't be nearly complete without a visit to a real gold mine. A mine that started in the 1800s and was one of the biggest operations in the United States. Tom was welcomed at the mine by Greg Wright, an experienced miner himself and somewhat of an amateur historian when it comes to gold and gold excavation.
Okay, Gregory, this is the current entrance to the mine here. As you're telling me, a long time ago, they used to hydraulic this.
Yes, sir. Actually, what they first started doing was hydraulicking, working their way down through the softer rock that's on top of the bedrock, following these veins down. There are actually 4 veins that converged into one big central vein here in what we call the glory hole. Once they started getting into the hard rock, they started dealing with the blasting and explosives, and it became a lot more expensive. They kept working their way down. When the Consolidated came in at the turn of the century, they came in from the backside of the mountain, so they could actually come in underneath the vein and stope it out, and that's when they started that big operation.
Okay, when was the mine first opened?
Okay, they started in 1900 and worked it up until 1906, and at that time it's the largest hard rock gold mine operation, still is, ever constructed east of the Mississippi River. There's over 200 tunnels in and around this network.
How many miles?
Actually, what we're figuring in, according to our old maps and stuff, is a little under 6 miles of tunnels.
Consolidated Gold Mines was a mammoth operation, moving some 4,000 tons of dirt and ore and creating an elaborate underground tunnel system. The miners had to blast through solid rock, which was a very slow and deliberate process, and it was extremely dangerous. Greg led Tom down under to take a closer look at the heart of the Consolidated Gold Mines.
Okay, Tom, as we go down into the mine, you'll be able to look and see that white stuff running the walls there. Of course, that's quartz. That's what they were extracting the gold from. You can see a lot of that down there. Once we get down into the glory hole, that main tunnel in the mine, you can look up and you can see that pillar or bridge going across the top up there. That's some of that gold-bearing vein material they were blasting out of there. It's also a supporting column, and as you see these pillars and stuff in there, that's part of the support system they use to support the walls. That's why it's still there. As we go into the next section, you can see these drill marks that were left over. There's 2 or 3 of them up there. That's where they were stoping it out, drilling the holes where they could pack their dynamite in there and blast it out. And then we'll proceed down a set of stairs, and finally we'll be to the track system. See, these are the original ore cart rails and tracks, and originally they had over 7 miles of tracks in this extensive system where they could move the ore out of the mine back to the big mill they had on the backside of the mountain.
Adventure, discovery, and reward are coming right up, so stay tuned for more Treasure Search with Bob Denver.
We tested on our assay
Where's the conduit? Well, about 2 ounces per ton. 3.5 to 2 ounces per ton. That's just in the one section here where they were hitting the top spot. Let's have a look right here. Okay, you can see here where they widened out the vein. See that quartz material? Also, there's a little bit of copper running up in there. That's what our gold here in this area is alloyed with, pretty much is copper. There's also some right there. There's a good sample of some auriferous pyrite. That's some of the stuff that they were extracting the gold from right there, and you can see it almost looks just like gold.
That's beautiful.
See here, Tom, one of the holes that they left here, they would drill it out so they could blast it out. These are actually called drift holes. They pack the dynamite in the holes to blow out that hard rock.
Just blow it out.
They'd remove it on the ore carts.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of that.
I'm sure you have. Me too.
The tunnels seem to have no end, a myriad of shafts and openings that go on forever. One has to seriously wonder how difficult and strained the life of a miner must have been.
This was a wiggle tail drill. It was one of the first types of pneumatic or air power drill. It would hammer the bit into the rock, but it wouldn't spin like drills do today, so you would have to wiggle it to keep the bit moving into the rock. Eventually they changed the name of this drill to the Widowmaker because it was creating so much dust that it was killing the miners from silicosis of the lung. As that bit was traveling into the rock, that dust would get up in their lungs, and from what I understand, the average lifespan of these drillers was a little over 3 years.
The Widowmaker? No thanks. I think I'll just stick to panning for gold if you don't mind, and I'll leave the serious stuff to Greg.
So they came up with a new process. They made it with a bit would spin as it hammered. That way they didn't have to wiggle it anymore. But the main improvement they made was they drilled a hole from one end of the bit to the other, ran water from a hose into the drill, and it would shoot out the end of the bit in a stream. As it was cutting into the rock, it would wash that dust down onto the floor. This is when hard rock mining really took off in the United States, and it's still basically what we use today down here at Consolidated. Okay, before they had pneumatic drills, they had to use hammer and chisels, and this was called a star bit. What they would have to do is they would grab a chisel, set it up against the rock, and they would hit it with a hammer. And they'd have to spin it every time they hit it to keep the bit from getting stuck in the rock. This was a really primitive method. That's what they had to use before they had air power. There's an ore cart down in the mine that we still use, and still use the original tracks to move the ore out of the mine. The ore cart, the only original parts on it are the 2 front wheels. The 2 back wheels are 58 Chevy pickup truck wheels that we bolted on there. The rest of it we pretty much put together ourselves, but we moved over 4,000 tons of dirt, rock, and mud out of this tunnel with this ore cart. And I can crank it up right now and still use it today if I want to. It still runs, and we still use the original tracks.
If you have any claustrophobia, this might not be the place for you. But the truth is that the mine is so extensive and fascinating that you lose all concept of time and space, and you just live the adventure.
What they did was they ran a 1/4-inch copper cable hanging off of these from one end of the tunnel to the other, and they'd run a direct current of electricity through that wire. One of the carts had an electric motor on it with a copper arm that stuck up with run along the wire, much like a San Francisco trolley car.
Yeah.
They run a direct current down to the motor, and they can pull or push about 20 of these carts at a time. This was really state-of-the-art technology. The oldest date that we have on one of these, it was made by General Electric Corporation back in 1890. So it's really state-of-the-art technology for that period. This was the first electricity in this area of North Georgia. And they continued to run those turbines up until 1921, supplying electricity to this area.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Treasure Search.
And now, back to Treasure Search with Bob Denver.
The old tools from the miners of the past can still be found along the tunnel floors, but after you escape from this eerie underground tour, a visit to the mini museum will offer an elaborate collection of gold mining tools and a wide array of antiques associated with the mine. The site was so popular that the museum brags of the silent film The Plunderers, produced on location at the mine in 1927. It's no surprise to find the stamp mill nearby. This was a very large structure built close to the mine to break down and process raw quartz and other larger material that held gold. Today the mill lies in ruins, only a ghost of what once existed. But one structure is still very much alive, the assay office. It still houses one of the descendants of a mine worker. This was the laboratory of the Consolidated Project. Gold was tested here for purity, weighed, and evaluated. If the assay office said it was so, and you could go to the bank on it.
Okay, well, the gold was discovered here in 1828, and they say it was discovered by accident. A man named Benjamin Parks was out hunting deer in the woods about 3 miles south of here, and they say he stumped his toe on a shiny rock that was laying there on the ground. Well, when he picked it up, it turned out to be a big gold nugget, and this set off the first major gold rush in U.S. history. Within 2 years, you had about 20,000 people coming to this area from the outside looking for this gold. Now, what most of them started doing was panning, working down the creeks and streams around here, and they say it was so plentiful that when it was first discovered, you could just walk along and just pluck the nuggets out of the banks. Of course, this didn't last very long, and after a while, they began to look into different areas to find that gold, such as a lode or vein material like what we have right here. This particular vein was discovered in 1845 by a man named Knight. It's called the Knight vein. Actually, it started as 4 veins about 200 feet above us. They would all converge into one big central vein back here in what we call the glory hole. Now, when they started out, they were not in this hard rock that you see right here. It was a looser decomposed rock that we call saprolite, and they were able to use hydraulic methods to work that gold. They'd come in here with these big water cannons, blasting these hillsides out, washing out hundreds of tons of dirt, rock, and mud down through a series of sluice boxes. Of course, a sluice box is simply a long trough, and that heavier gold would sink to the bottom, become trapped in a series of riffles. They kept working it down, and about the 1880s, they started getting to the hard rock. Now, once you get into hard rock, of course, it's a whole different ball game. You have to blast this out with explosives, and it's much more expensive. So they quit working it. Then the Consolidated Company came in about 20 years later, about 1900. And they invested $5 million into this operation and created what we have here now, which is the largest hard rock gold mine operation ever constructed east of the Mississippi River. There's over 200 tunnels in and around this network.
Back at the Visitor Center, aside from the tours of the mine that are offered on a daily basis, Greg offers a crash course on gold panning.
I'll give you a quick demonstration here to show you how we do it. Gold's the heaviest substance in the pan, so what we're trying to do is just work the heavier gold down, wash the lighter layers of sand on top. Just working it down. Shaking and dipping, that's all we're doing here. So finally you work your way down to the black sands at the bottom of the pan. Of course, the next step is the gold. As you can see, got some gold in that pan there.
But Greg's just warming up for the big competition at Consolidated. It's the home of the Gold Panning World Championship, and you can bet the place gets packed for this super annual competition.
Way down under where the sun don't shine, I'm working for a living in a real gold mine. The hours are long and my back's a breaking. I'm just wishing there's a fortune I'll be making. Gold fever, I'm a mining man. Gold fever, well, it's in my pan. Gold fever, I'm gonna dig my own. I'll be searching every day until the cows come home. The rivers and streams are where I stay. Panning for color is what they say. My fingers are shriveled and my toes are cold, but I'm a happy man 'cause I get my gold, gold fever. I'm a mining man, gold fever. It's in my pan, gold fever. I'm gonna dig my own. I'll be searching every day until the cows come home. Yeah. Play it, boys. Finding nuggets under my coil. They look so darn good coming out of the soil. I'm a treasure hunter, tried and true. So come and join me. How about you? Gold fever, I'm a mining man. Gold fever, it's in my pan. Gold fever, I'm gonna dig my own. I'll be searching every day until the cows come home. Gold fever, I'm a mining man. Gold fever, well, it's in my pan. Gold fever, I'm gonna dig my own. I'll be searching every day until the cows come home. Gold fever, I'm a mining man. Gold fever, it's in my pan. Gold fever, I'm gonna dig my own. I'll be searching every day until the cows come home.
Well, we've showed you all kinds of ways to hunt for gold and where to find it. But we saved the strangest for last. Can you believe that searchers are actually training dogs to sniff out flakes, nuggets, and even veins of gold? Some hunters claim to have tremendous success. Others say it's only a pipe dream. We'll do our best to find the answer on a future episode of Treasure Search.